Hey, yeah, maybe not the best time to stream, you know, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. local time. But it's like Donald Fagan says, I've got plenty of Java and Chesterfield Kings, but I feel like crying. I don't really feel like crying. I'm feeling pretty smooth jazz. Adequately smooth jazz. How do you feel today? Good, terrible, adequately smooth jazz. Three choices. Spectacular, awful, smooth jazz. A good poll question is, what was your background music for the day? Like, as you're walking around, if you were going to be the person doing the score, doing the music for the film, what would you put back behind your whatever you're doing? So let's say I'm picking avocados in the movie. What song screams, that guy must be picking avocados? It's going to be some song that sounds like this, right? Pluck, pluck. I think I got one. Pluck, pluck, pluck. I got another one. It's going to be like that pretty much. So, I'm just sort of waiting, I guess you could say, for the drugs to take effect. I took a half a quantity earlier, and then I took another half one like 10 minutes ago. Because I tell you what, I wasn't doing anytime soon, based on my extrapolation from the current state of being, was I was very unlikely to fall into a land of slumber. If it were to be the case that it would fall into a land of slumber, it probably falls testicles first, which is always painful. Hi, and welcome to the first day of health class. We're going to be watching a film strip today called Don't Fall on Your Testicles. Girls, I know you don't have these, but I want you to stay here and watch this so you can understand how important it is to protect a man's testicles. Julie, pay attention. I'm talking testicles here. Okay. So, what do you do, ladies, if you see a man in the world who appears to be alarmed about the well-being of his testicles? Run up and cut them with my hands? That's right. That's exactly right. You got it. I think it's a good greeting as well to say to when you see somebody, hey, buddy, nice to see you. Let me cup you with my hands. That's a warm greeting. Okay, where would you like to cup me? I can cup your buttocks. Fits perfectly. I'd rather you didn't. How about your man boobs? I'm a little embarrassed about them. They're a little bit. I haven't gotten past A cups yet. Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to cup then. Your junk. Fine, get it over with. You know what I said today? But that was pretty nifty. Quote was anxiety is what lives between death and the world. Amanda May, thank you for greeting me from Las Vegas. I appreciate that. Were you there to gamble? Or you live there? Because I have, like most people, I've got my own gambling strategy. It usually works if I stick to it and don't deviate from my strategy. But I usually deviate from my strategy. You live there, huh? Well, then you must know where all the good multi-card Keno machines are. Because that's the machine to play. 20 card Keno, 6 spots, very good odds of coming out ahead. If you put in $100 or something, you hit those 6 pretty often with 20 card Keno. If you set up your cards right too. A lot of people swear by video poker. 20 card multi Keno is a good slot machine game to play. I have consistently won money playing that game. The reason is you can set up your 20 cards. So you have to decide basically how many duplicate numbers you want. And if you set them up so that, because there's only 80 numbers, and I think you get 10 numbers per, well, I mean, you can pick however many numbers you want, but I think that they pull 20 numbers and you pick like, say, 6 or whatever. Well, only 4 cards equals all the possible numbers. So you're going to have duplicates, right? So in other words, you want your duplicates spread out evenly. Each card's got a couple duplicates, and the duplicates don't reduplicate. And if you do that, but you don't have to be super careful, mathematical about it or anything. You just kind of, okay, move this one, move that one. Then you got a really good shot of hitting a 6 spot before you put in the amount of money the 6 spot pays. And that's the magic of Eric's gambling advice. But it's hard to find those 20 card machines. Very hard to find them. Usually multi-card Kenos are just on the Game Kings, and they're 4-card Kenos. Or they'll try to get you with this caveman Keno or man Keno. No. If you can find one, 20 card multi Keno. That's the game of champions. Now, of course, if you do find one, it may be a quarter instead of a nickel. Since you're playing 20 cards, it's $1 a card. It's $1 a game if it's a nickel. If it's a quarter, then well, that's considerably more per game. It's $5 per game, I guess. Yeah. So if you do find a 25-cent machine, you probably have to put in $200 or $250, maybe even $500 to make this plan work. But basically, if you give yourself 100 shots with 20 cards of 6, your odds are, I don't know if they're technically in your favor, but it's got to be very close to 50-50. Yeah, well, here's the thing about poker. I like to play poker. I enjoy the game. I prefer tournament poker to cash games because the rake will just fucking kill you. But I'm also a very bad poker player. So everybody can tell immediately by looking at me what my cards are. which is kind of a disadvantage in poker. I tend to play pretty tight. So when I do bet, have cards, everybody folds. Because, I go to the poker parlor, and they've got poker houses here in Los Angeles. It's not just, you don't have to go all the way to the casinos to play poker. But, I spend most of my time at the table drawing pictures. I'm not paying attention to the people at all. Just paying attention to my cards, some of the betting. Good poker players pay attention to the people. But that's too hard. I've got pictures to draw. While everyone's being all slow and boring. Yeah, it is stressful. You can play well and still lose in the short term. Absolutely. There are circumstances where you're sort of compelled to push your money in the pot, And even if you were correct that you got the better hand and that there was either a bluff or a pseudo bluff or something, if he's drawn on a flush draw or something, decent chance he's going to pick it up on the last card. Even if he's only got two, like let's say he's got, he gets one spade on the flop. He's got two spades in his hands. And you slow play that in some fashion. You don't hit that hard if you've got, say, you hit a pair or something. He'll just roll along with you, see if he catches the fourth spade. If he does, all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck. I guess I gotta go all in. And he goes, well, I got you covered. And he picks up that fifth spade, and you're just like, okay, I hate poker. You know the feeling, right, Amanda May? I'm sure you've had that happen to you as well. You just get your flush draw the fuck away from me. I don't like it. I don't want you to be. I don't want to bet that big. I would like to win some money in this game. And if I bet too big, I'm going to drive you away. But I don't really want you hanging around because you might pick up that flush draw. Or whatever, like there's, you get a board with like 5, 6, 8, 10 jack on it. You're just like, okay, someone's got this straight, even though they're weird middle cards. How do you go about arguing against people who say your body isn't a distinct object because it can't be strictly boxed in? If you wipe your hand against the wall, part of your body is now stuck to the wall in the form of cells. Well, it's a distinct object in space because it has an identity that remains mostly consistent. To be a distinct object in space doesn't mean to be completely immune to all entropy. That's just silly. So a statue is a distinct object in space, even though little bits of speck of copper or whatever blow away and as it weathers and stuff, See, Amanda May, I rely on those moments to have occasional successful days at poker. So next time that happens to you, just remember, hey, bad people like Eric need to win occasionally too. Here's the thing. I just really like to bet my cards. And I don't like to do betting strategies that aren't linked to my cards. What's a W high royal? If it's not started with an ace, it's not royal. It would be straight flush. Well, okay. So, Rain, the thing about this notion about whether something is a distinct object in space or not is obviously a matter of how the thing is observed. So there are lots of distinct objects in space that we never observe. And there are things in space that we observe as distinct objects from one frame of reference and indistinct objects from another. So, for example, a lake, we perceive a distinct object when we think about it or look at it on a map. But if we're swimming in the lake, we perceive it as a medium, which is different than a distinct object. The thing about trying to reject the notion of distinct objects is, of course, it would also require you to reject the notion of media, that is to say, mediums through which things can pass. Because if you acknowledge that mediums exist, then you'd have to acknowledge that those mediums feature object vectors, the normal things. And in other words, we can't meaningfully talk or think or do any kind of good work unless we are willing to draw those distinctions, which are easily argumentationally supported. That a human is a distinct object in the sense that it's not like air, diffuse with no identity. It's not like some rock someplace unnamed that is just part of the field. It's, say, a big rock that has a name, Harold's Rock. Well, then that thing has an identity and is a distinct object in space. So if we are going to be making distinctions at all, we need to understand that we can't even evaluate the wisdom of distinction making unless we have clarified the frame of reference. So is it meaningful to make a distinction between a distinct object in space and that which is not a distinct object in space? Yes. Is it further meaningful to make a distinction between that which has an identity and that which is simply existent? Sure. A stick in the backyard does not have an identity, but the Chinese elm tree has an identity. If I know a certain stick in the backyard, maybe even give it a name, that stick, Bendy, that's leaning against the wall, I think I'm going to use that for something. Well, now that thing has an identity. The point is, was it a distinct object in space prior to you giving it an identity? Distinctions are made by human beings for purposes. We reference empirical clarities to justify those distinctions, but it's a mistake to think that the distinction exists without an observer making it. So you have the straight flush. Thing is, I like the slow play aces, but it always seems to bite me in the ass. It depends on the circumstances of my stack too, and the other people's stacks. So obviously, I play differently when I'm short stacked than when I'm big stacked. But I don't know. It's an odd thing for me because it's something that I know I'm not good at. That's competition that I consistently lose at, that I don't really feel competitive about. it costs me money occasionally. I don't go play the poker very often, but then I like it anyway because it's got such involved dynamics, I guess. It makes me want to go play poker right now. Sounds fun. Right. Well, the thing is, the bets should be based on their cards. And if you're dealing with me, they generally are. Because I don't believe I'm going to be able to successfully fake anything or push people around or bluff them. That's too anxiety inducing for me, and people can probably see it. I'd rather usually. The thing is, to play poker smart, you've got to be basically lying in wait for that one big pot that you have to win. I don't feel bad when I win at all. That's poker, I don't feel bad when I lose either. I feel dumb sometimes, like, okay, that's enough poker for a while. Why do you want to go lose money at poker? You're gonna lose. You always lose. So yeah, I did a lot better in online poker than I do in live poker. Your bets are based on my opponent's cards and their perception of mine. So I shouldn't really look at my cards, basically. If that's the case, because if my bet should be based on your cards and your perception of my cards, well, I shouldn't even look at my cards. You just play the betting game. What happens if you just don't look at your cards? Do you get to avoid all that stuff? You just find out at the end of the hand if you do okay. I might play better that way. Yeah, it really makes me want to play poker. What part of you think is fun? You're going to be suitable for official betting. A major part of the winning has to be due to luck. Personally, I only have fun with heavily skill-based games. Well, I do believe that poker is very skill-based. For a heavily chanced game, but I just don't think I'm very good at it. So, what part of it is fun for me? I like sort of chilling there at the table, drawing pictures, having a cup of coffee, sitting like a rock, folding all my hands. Right. Yeah. You can't do it in a tournament unless it's a real slow moving tournament. And if you do it in a cash game, you just get blinded off and raked off. It's like you want to play cash games, you got to basically come in the first couple of hands and go, okay, all in, all in, all in. Okay, finally I got one. Now I've got a stack to work with, and rebuy and stuff. And it's just I just don't like to play that aggressively. I like poker to be relaxing. I know it's not supposed to be relaxing, but I relax when I'm playing poker. I get the little rush, of course, um, when I know I got to make a decision. The problem with being any tool user or any Dom when playing poker is, well, like I always think, okay, these hands beat me. What are the possible hands you could have that would beat me? Yeah, 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 yeah. And then it's another thing. Well, how likely is it that he's got 8-6? Well, I mean, at the $60 buy-in table, pretty likely. Especially if they're suited. And you must consider your table image. I mean, I'm hopefully my table image is saying, hey, guys, just everyone relax. We're here to play poker, not to evaluate each other out of the corners of our eyes. I tried doing it like on a couple occasions, like watching the people. It was just so boring. It's like, what am I supposed to be getting from this? Be keeping track of like how they bet. It takes a lot of NI. It takes a lot of NI. It's more NI than I can muster on a conscious level to sort of just get the gist of each person and how they roll. I get how that would be very helpful, but you're really making sort of an NI psychological assessment of the person and how they play that is beyond my capacity. I don't operate like that in general. I tend to like to play things by the seat of my pants. With poker, you have to have a steady vision of how you want to go about it, and you've got to be consistent with that approach, but also flexible in your approach. You've got to be constantly in a top level of attention when you're playing, because a good night or a bad night can predicate entirely on whether you fold out of this, what turns out to be a big pot you would have won, or whether you stay in it. The difference between going broke and going home ahead. You don't hit a big pot and you're just playing cash games. Like I said, you will get blinded off and raked off. If you try to flash around a few pots and you're playing low buy-ins, you get raked off lickety split. Even if you win a couple small pots. Well, I don't mind being the fish, I guess, because I don't have any sort of gambling problem. I don't spend a lot of money on gambling. I don't have delusions about becoming good at it. Although occasionally when I win, I think, haha, maybe I've got to figure it out, But I just understand my limitations. I'm not good at hiding my emotions. I'm not good at hiding the truth. I'm not good at deceiving people. And I am good at like calculating how many hands might beat me and what they might have. But it's really speculative. It's not really so much based on the betting pattern. Because to base it on the betting pattern, I'd have to have clarity about whether the person is, say, over betting because they want to push me off the hand, or over betting because they want to make me think they're over betting so that I think they're actually less strong and then bet back, or all that kind of stuff. To you, poker's not gambling? I mean, it wouldn't be without the rake. I would agree with you. It would be a game of skill. If everybody's got deep stacks and a long set of hours, by and large, the better player will win. But not always, You've got to have deep stack and the capacity to rebuy as well, and the energy and the focus to stay on point through those emotional ups and downs. You should have a plan going in, like, am I going to rebuy? Am I not? Now I want to play poker. I want to play in a poker tournament. Okay, so I'm going to look up, see if there's any poker tournaments that start in the morning today that are open, even though, this constant need to constantly save lives with COVID masks. Let's see, Hawaiian Gardens Casino. Let's see what they say. Is it open? All terms are canceled till further notice. What's not canceled? Why cancel tournament? Is there anything you can play? Okay. Okay, so why did they just get rid of tournaments? Poker tournaments near me. The website. Casino tournaments. Since the 4:00 in the afternoon. I want it to be at 6:00 in the morning. Poker. Sure. I guess I could go to an indie casino if they have a poker tournament. Nine one. Ah, there's actually a 9:30 a.m. tournament. $60 buy-in. No limit hold'em. I would like to We're gonna add on. We'll call it $120. Let's see. The starting chip's 10,000. Starting blinds 100. No re-entries, so no rebuys. That's good. A single add-on. Add-on at 15,000 available until the start of level 5. Level time's 20 minutes. Blind structure looks like it's fast. Me likey. Me likey a lot. That's what I would say about that. Me likey a lot. I could totally go there and play that tournament today. 9:30. I haven't done that in a long time. Not since the spring of 04. 1904. There's still luck when you're good, but it's minimized, just like driving to work is a chance. Hawaiian Gardens hasn't opened up tournaments yet again. What's the best way to get a personality typing? All of it is new to me. I took the test, but I've read they're not so accurate. The best way to get typed is actually, and this is my honest answer, is to hire me to type you. Costs $100, but I give you an hour of face-to-face conversation. I ask you a lot of questions, and I listen to your answers very carefully. I'm not just going to be yammering at you. I go in knowing I don't know yet, and I got to figure it out. And I'll try to explain the whole way through what my reasoning is as well. I think anybody who's seen my typing videos would acknowledge that I am by far the most legitimate and fair type deal in typology. I've got the most meaningful experience in terms of when I type people, if they're willing to let me put the video published, then I'll publish it. So there's a lot of data, this public data. This is what I do, and you're welcome to come in here and scrutinize my methodology. Now, you don't have to put it on publish. Some people say, I don't want to have it filmed, and that's fine. Some people say, I'd like you to film it, but just share it with me, and that's fine too. It's their video. They own it, They bought it. But one thing I won't let you do, Amanda May, is stab me during the course of typing. I had to make a firm rule after about 6 people in a row stabbed me in the eye when I was typing them. They all said it was an accident. I think at least one of them did it on purpose. And I said, hey, an accident's one thing, but that's being purposely mean. The purposely mean are those who's slurping on sweet cream. In other words, if you're purposely mean, the spleen slurper monster comes and slurps your spleen as punishment. The second half of Klonopin is making me a little bit wobbly. A little bit wobbly. I was going to go to maybe fast food to get some food, but right now I'm feeling a little bit like, whoa there, bro. These sensors, yeah. You play at the ARIA or the MGM? I see. cash games, huh? But what about what I'm saying about the rake? Doesn't the rake bug you? The rake really bugs me. It's like you take too much out of it. Just, if new money's not constantly coming to the table, before you know it, even no matter how perfectly everybody plays, the house has all the money. Just think about the injustice. Just think about the horror. Thanks. You mean the one about who are the peas? Who are the peas that make the whole world sick? They're different from the peas that make the whole world bring condiments to every party, despite that they've done it before. And someone else ought to take a turn and bring condiments and more. Still, they're taking advantage of it like that. And that concerns me. I am. This is about as drugged as you're going to see me. I'm not very sprung anymore. Although I got more sprung than would be expected considering I just took the prescribed amount, which isn't that much. I don't have a huge prescription. However, listen to this. Listen to these words. I also took half a Klonopin, and then when it didn't seem to be working, I took the other half a Klonopin. Also, I'm pulling a lot of bulls. I'm really putting in my work today on the bond, making sure I do my job to process environmentally dangerous marijuana in a nice, healthy smoke. I need to turn this onto a different setting. That's not a different setting. I just turned it off. So there is a season for every single thing that happens. Everything. Season for sneezing, season for peeing, season for being, and there's sneezing for keying. But you know what? There's not a season as big as the human heart. Nothing's bigger than that. Not even a black hole. Not even 100 billion galaxies, all smushed into a single huge, massive black hole. If you have not seen David from Mr. Show demonstrate my awful plight as a TI tool user, please take a moment to watch this fabulous 1 minute long video that perfectly sums up the conversations I have every day. It perfectly sums it up. Please enjoy. It's a magnificent piece of work. I'm going to mute briefly so I can watch it. It's just a minute long. That is such a great. That is such a great video. It is. Um, um, it sums up talking to ESFPs or other non-rational types, where he's trying to explain the thing that it's not, no, you're not listening to me. It's like he gets so frustrated, and then the other guy goes, "Oh, I think I can help." And he's saying you're a terrible drummer because you only have one arm. And of course, oh. Now you want to go back into now you want your thing again. God. So here's the thing that's crazy tonight. Absolutely crazy. I was sitting here, I had taken away all the ways to climb out of the fish tank, having determined that I will watch it, Genexio. I've taken away all the bridges to the top. Couldn't get out. I had put some bridges before to a little island I made in the middle, and he didn't climb up to it. So I took all the bridges down. And then I'm sitting in here, I'm watching something or doing something on the computer, and I hear this. And I'm like, I bet Lily just fucking jumped out of this tank. Sure enough, I walk in there, he's on the floor, and it's quite a long fall. He seems stunned for a minute, but then he starts trying to, escape and run away. Well, I get him on, scoop him up on a piece of paper and put him back into the, tank. But I think I might have to go back to the island notion if he, in fact, does try to climb out of the tank. It's like, come on, dude. What are you doing, Lila? We're trying to love you with our hearts. You gotta help us love you, help you love us. All right, I'm searching for Neil. Go. What's it called? I don't see it. What's it called? Man, the way they move. I'll wait, I'll wait, I'll wait. Why don't you put a link in, Exil? I see it.
Come on, man. It can be for me. You haven't got me yet. Mike, hit me. Don't even try it. You haven't got me in 6 years. One thing I just want to say. No. You said, I'll give you. He never dunked on you. He never put you on the highlight. No. He said, I would love for you to get my poster, but it's not happening. It's not going to happen.
What? That makes no sense to me. It's interesting. Certainly kept my attention all the way through, but I don't know what your point is. Rachel's not here. I was going to ask her. She's not here. She's asleep. She's asleep. Well, Kent and Davey, the answer obviously lies in how carefully we get to define what qualifies as vulnerability towards trippage. Am I vulnerable to being tripped right now? Simply because I'm feeling kind of inclined? Because I'm a little unstable on my feet? You might say I'm prone to being tripped, or you might discover that an attempt reveal the facade of trippability, behind which lay steel-tipped boots crashing into your shins relentlessly, leaving deep black bone bruises, and slowing down considerably the progression thereafter of your criminal enterprise. Because nobody can commit some crimes without healthy shins. If you're not shin guarding in time, then you may end up when your shins are removed and crushed into dust and used as poultice and used as must and used as plaster to fill the walls. Then you'll know the pain at all of having all your shins taken away because you let them get bruised today. Don't take your shins too lightly, please. Your shins are friends to me. Yes, your shins are friends to me. Whose shins are my friends? I hope they haven't contracted the bends. I heard they were doing some deep sea diving the other day. They were diving deep into the ocean. It's like those big lakes. Super big ones. But it's got the flavor of the ocean. That be the difference. When a man wants to brush his teeth in the open ocean, he just opens his mouth and throws in the gargle of salt water. Stir fish and all. Yeah, swishes them around and spits them out and knows, aye, that'll put off the scurvy a day or two. That'll put it off. Okay, well, I surely gotta go to them, yeah? Shit fell asleep, huh? I totally fell asleep. No, I'm not on perks. I'm on benzos. I needed to sleep tonight, and I wasn't sleeping. I took half a benzo. It didn't seem to work. I took a second half a benzo, and now I'm feeling pretty crashy. I'm feeling a lot like Crash Bandicoot. So I think what I'm going to do is wrap this live stream up since I'm clearly in no condition to conduct it properly. As it's a culmination of both taking pills that help me sleep and not having slept in 2 nights and being exhausted from bukkake all over Genexio's mom's face. There weren't nearly enough guys there. I had to provide like 7 of the loads. So you can see why I'm running out of gas. Okay, good night. Eric, you're going to have to go to sleep now. Perky. I don't know what Perky said.